Hello, I'm Dr. Noah Toll, Professor of Molecular Biology at Macon Research Institute of Science. Today we'll learn about the cell cycle and mitosis. Thanks in advance for watching Noah Toll's Science Crash Course.
The cell cycle is the life cycle of a cell. It starts when the cell is born and ends when it dies. It is how you survive. If it did not happen, all your cells would die and you would too. There are many different phases of the cell cycle. There's interphase, which is comprised of gap 1, synthesis, and gap 2. Then there's mitosis, which is comprised of prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And then there's cytokinesis. During interphase, there are 3 phases. It spends most of its life in interphase. Gap 1 is where the cell waits for the signal to start mitosis. Synthesis is where the cell synthesizes or copies its DNA. Gap 2 is where the cell checks over its work. During mitosis, there are many substages. There's prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase is the second stage of the cell cycle. During prophase, the DNA unravels and forms strands, the nuclear membrane disappears, and the spindle fibers form. Metaphase is the third stage of the cell cycle. The chromosomes pair up with like chromosomes and line up in the center of the cell. The cell is starting to stretch. Anaphase is the fourth stage of the cell cycle. Chromosome pairs break and go to separate sides of the cell. Each side has the exact same DNA. The cell stretches more. Telophase is the fifth stage of the cell cycle. The DNA goes back to its globular state. It forms back into a nucleus, so now there are 2 exactly the same sets of DNA in the cell. The nuclear membrane reappears, and it's almost completely divided. It starts pinching around the center of the cell. Cytokinesis is the 6th and final stage of the cell cycle. The cell pinches around the center, separating it into 2 separate cells that are exactly the same.